Hello and welcome to Grossly Competent, the learning, development, and adulting podcast that does not claim to be pretty. Nope, but we will happily pretend to be slightly competent. I am your host, Steve Council, and I'm joined by my co-host, a man with a face that would give Deadpool a run for his money. Hey, Mr. Patrick. I can't talk. Mr. Patrick Ayleshire. I'm sorry, I'm still getting over my cold. Forgive me.
That's me. Well, Steve, I know you want to blame the cold. You're cold and all, but
I am like at the 10% rank. Like, I'm right there. I'm sorry. Continue.
You have the charisma of a beige PowerPoint slide. How do you feel about that? Because I'm already bored just thinking about it.
That's a good one. I am absolutely going to have to steal that. But unlike my charisma, Mr. Ayleshire, we have a banger of an episode. We do. We have a banger. But do you know what is not boring?
Our sponsor this week.
Obviously, it's our sponsor. Who do we have?
This episode is powered by the To-Do List. The perfect system for writing down everything you'll never actually do. To-do lists, because procrastination feels way more professional when it's bullet pointed.
Oh my God. Yes. Wow. Thanks, big to-do list. Well, this is definitely one of those times that I can say that we use your product every weekend in my house, big to-do list. And by we, I mean my wife writes it and hands it to me to complete. So
I believe that is called, in your household, not so much in mine, in your household, that is called the honey-do list.
How I love that you called me honey. It is actually called the gag you do this now list.
Do this now list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is definitely a honey-do list. And I think what we specifically do in this house is, instead of doing bullet points, we do little boxes so we can check them off.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I actually legitimately mean that. It's like we're ridiculous.
We could not afford that sponsor, the checkbox. So we just, the bullet point were a little less expensive.
Yeah. We can't even make it in the lobby of big checkbox, but maybe
that's the sad part is that we have to pay our sponsors. That's why it's just, budget season, and we have to pay them to come on.
They're always like, you clearly just have money to burn, Patrick and Steve, so
right.
Why don't you just pay us to be on your show? We're like, that sounds great. Normally, Patrick, this is where I would ask you what's on your mind, but I had something happen today, legitimately just today, and I really want to share it with you and all the awesome folks out in listener land. Are you ready for this?
Unfortunately, I cannot allow that.
Okay, so anyway, I didn't really know what to say to that. I'm gonna
continue on. Yeah. Continue on.
This is so stupid too. Oh my God. But I hope you appreciate it. So I was in a meeting today. I know, jealous. And not just any meeting, two meetings that lasted an hour and a half apiece in succession. So
fun.
Yeah, obviously, when you look at your checklist of what you want to do on every day, that is usually at the forefront. And I get it. That's fine. No, I kid. I was asked to be a presenter at this meeting. So definitely, that's my job. I'm happy to do it. All jokes aside. And the manager that was running this specific meeting, and it was very well put together, she happened to be talking to her staff and just saying, hey, is there anything that maybe you need from me in the time being before I hand things off to Steve to give his section of this meeting.
Yeah.
And one of the employees, like just joking kind of as we normally do in jest, was like, well, have you thought about cloning yourself about like 5 times? Just kind of being silly. And before the manager can say something, one of the supervisors kind of like poked in. And I'm trying to remember exactly how she said it, but it was something along the lines of, we haven't perfected the cloning process just yet. The skin on the faces keep melting off, and it's a big problem. So this is why I want to tell you.
Was that you?
I kid you not. I actually had to catch myself from making some like ridiculous comment like, why are you calling out my face? Like, just there was a moment that I realized, I'm actually not recording the podcast, or I'm not talking to you like via text or something like that. I legit had that moment, and I had oh my gosh, I almost did that. So there's that.
Man, I love a good face melting joke. It's really only one of the only jokes that's relatable for us, right? I mean,
you're not wrong. I couldn't believe that I have ingrained the Ugly Club shtick into my being like so effortlessly, over these 20 years, that what would typically just kind of be like a dark humor, like poke poke, I actually had to catch myself.
I thought you were gonna tell me that they made a reference to Grossly Competent, and I was like, that God. Is fantastic. This is still good though, because of the fact that you had to catch yourself from maybe making a little bit of an ass, or just a joke that no one would get. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it would be like one of those like serious lead balloon moments, right? Where it's like, oh, my face. And then they just all look at me. Okay. And now we're going to listen to this guy talk for the next half an hour. Like,
yeah.
Who is this guy? Like, I'm not at that level with all of you yet.
That is great.
So there. All right. I had to tell you that. I couldn't help myself.
Fantastic.
I'm actually gonna switch this up on you, Mr. Patrick, and I hope you're okay with this. Normally, like I said, I would ask you, what's on your mind and whatever. But since I brought it up, have you ever done something like that? Like, have you ever had that moment, whether it's at work or whatever, where you have darn near placed that foot right into your mouth, or you did and you regret it? Like, you ever done something like that?
Most likely, yes. But now I'm thinking that you're trying to get me to tell a story, even though you've never heard this story. But I feel a little bit of dread coming on that this is the story about the time I got locked in the bathroom at work.
Whatever. Nuh-uh.
It is very true.
God, yes. Oh my God. Yes, I need to hear this story. Like, every fiber of my being needs to hear this story. This is great. You need to embody the Boston Harbor, because there needs to be some tea that's spilled.
Ooh.
Yeah. You like that? Like,
I like it. I like it.
This was not meant to prompt anything. I just was making fun of myself, and I thought maybe you'd have one, but you clearly do. Oh my God, I'm going to shut up. I need to hear this story.
So it was on the back of my mind because I just had to retell this story like 2 weeks ago to some coworkers that hadn't heard the story. So it's been around the office a few times, okay? So I am bypassing your question, I think, for the second week in a row of not talking about something that you asked, which is, this was not during a meeting, but this was during a training session. So I was the facilitator. Now, granted, I will preface, it was after the training session, and everyone had left except for the director of the department that I was working with. Okay. So here's what happens. I was in a parks building. So we have a lot of, there's a lot of parks in Milwaukee County, and I was facilitating at one of those. We had rented the space out. And so we were at one of the parks buildings. And this particular building there was two bathroom for women, bathroom for men, and they were on opposite sides of this room that we were in. And throughout the day, the men's bathroom was propped open by a little stick or whatever to keep it door
like
doorstop,
a wedge or something like that.
Wedge doorstop. Mm-hmm. Yep. Stick. Jesus. A doorstop to keep it open. And okay, just didn't think about it. And of course, it was not when you walk past, you couldn't see inside, so it was not a problem to do that. So sure. And this was a full day training. So this was throughout the 8 hours that I was there. I went a few times, and then after the training, I was like, I should probably go one more time before I go home. I had just finished chatting with the director that was there of their department, and as I went to the restroom, I noticed that the door was now closed. I was like, oh, okay, they just decided to close it now for whatever reason. I used the restroom. So I'm at the urinal, and I turn around, wash my hands. Meanwhile, I'm looking out the window, and I see that the woman that was still there, her car was parked up kind of near the door, so she was loading her equipment. I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's smart. I'm going to carry all my crap down to the car, way down in the parking lot. I turn around, and I pull on the door, and it is not moving. Okay. So there's two parts to the story, by the way. So I kind of pull the door again.
I just want you to know that I actually had to mute my mic because I've been waiting for you to say when this door locks, and the anticipation was killing me.
Yeah, it's a little bit last week. It's a long story longer. So what happened was I pull at the door. It's locked, and immediately, instead of panic, I kind of I laugh. I was like, this is going to be such a good story. I can't wait to text my boss later, because again, I don't have any of the stuff on me. All my phone, my belongings are in my backpack, because I usually don't have stuff on me when I'm training. Oh, yeah, sure. But I'm like, oh, you know what? I look, her car is there, no problem. But I'm like, whatever. That's not the worst place to get stuck in, because if I have to go to the bathroom, I'm right there. There's water in the sink, whatever. Yeah. So, but thinking this is not going to be an issue, so I bend down, the window was open, and I'm like, hey, calling her name out. And she finally hears me because she gets to her car, loading her stuff up. And I was like, hey, I'm locked in the bathroom. I just hear her laughing, which is what you should do, right?
Yeah, I laughed, and I didn't even know the story.
So this is where the turn. There's a twist to this story. Okay, so I hear her coming into the building. You can hear the clapper for shoes coming in. Oh, sure. As she's getting closer, and I'm in front of the door, I'm like, why is the sound coming from back here? So I turn around, and I'm like, oh my God, that's the door. I was trying to open a locked closet that was also in that same restroom. So I immediately turn around. My face is red. She pushes the door open, and I was like, oh, that was weird. I'm already embarrassed. And she's like, well, I'll have to get that looked at tomorrow. So I need to just go home. I can't tell her this. I will plan to tell her at another point, but I'm already embarrassed enough. So I grab my things and go home. And the way home, I just laughed to myself. I proceeded to tell my coworkers that story, and then also my whole family, because we had a family event that weekend, and they were appalled at my stupidity or just lack of common sense. However, to wrap this story up, a coworker of mine who had worked in the same organization as I had for many years had been in that facility, and she said, by the way, I know for a fact that you washed your hands, because you wouldn't have seen the closet door if you hadn't washed your hands. And there was like this like half wall that came out from where the closet was. So basically I kind of just like washed my hands, turned around, and there was the door, which I thought was the door, where the real door was around the corner. So the actual story, I didn't lock myself in the bathroom, is where that story comes back around. And now the world knows. The whole world knows. My sister brought that story up a couple months ago and said, "Are you going to tell the story?" And I said, "Well, it needs to come up organically. And the fact that you were asking me about doing something I regretted or something really dumb, that was the trigger for, oh no, he's actually heard this story. Someone told him." But clearly not. Well, how old were you? High school? College? Nope. I was 41 at the time. That was earlier. That was
going to high
earlier
school or
this
college. Were you a toddler? Were you 7? Like, were you? Oh gosh.
I told my family that our mutual friend Joe was like, how did this happen? Like, I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
That is a treat. Oh God, that is wow.
On that note,
all right. We're not going to top it. And hey, thank you all so much for joining us.
Time for Spinnerooski.
How do we come back from this?
I'm going to go bury my head and maybe slam my head in the...
I'm going to give you credit, though. You went out there and you told the world this story, and my God, and that's a good one. So that is awesome.
To come back around to this person that didn't realize that I was actually not locked in. So 2-3 months go by and I have another training with the same team, and she's there, and I said, "Hey, gotta tell you something. You remember that time I got locked in the bathroom?" And she puts her hand up and she goes, "I know what happened."
Oh,
she goes, "We had someone look at that door and the next day, and it was like, yeah, it's fine." And so she goes, I figured you maybe just pulled on the wrong door." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I was just way too embarrassed to say anything at the moment." She goes, "No, I already knew." It was great. It was great.
Last week I mentioned the movie Saw, that I took my lovely wife, that time girlfriend, to go see as our first date.
Whoa, not just girlfriend. Yeah, first date. Date.
I mean, it was our first date. You have no idea the burden it is to be such a hopeless romantic. But as part of that movie and the subsequent 14,000 other ones, I actually have not seen any of the other ones because why do you need 48 varieties of it? But I would assume that part of like the whole shtick of like you're trapped in this room is that you check all the walls. just do a wander, just a quick little lookarooski. So see if there's maybe, I don't know, like another.
The best part is that it was probably a good like 3 minutes where I just stood there. It was like looking out the window, like kind of like, oh, I wonder how long I'll be in here. Not even like turning around and it just like complete lack of
that. That is so awesome.
Now, when you went to Saw, were you trying to see Serendipity? That movie with John Cusack? Oh, okay. Because I thought maybe that was the hopeless romantic side of you.
And even, interestingly enough, prior to that date to go see Saw, like a week or two prior, I went to a movie with like her and all of her friends. They all decided they wanted to go. And we went to go see, crumbs. Was it? No, it wasn't the
Romeo and Juliet.
No,
trying to give you a hint.
Maybe it was The Ring.
Oh,
or
God.
just Ring.
Yeah,
Ring,
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it was called. Ring, right?
The movie about the doorbell? Oh, no.
Yes. Bezos does not want you to see this. Yeah. So 2 for 2, on our first, that wasn't even a real date. That was like, I needed to get vetted by her friends. They took me to go see a scary movie, and then I was like, hey, I have an idea. Let me go take you to Torture Porn, the movie. Does that sound like a plan? And she's like, you had me at torture. I'm like, all right, well, the rest is history. I cannot stress enough. I love that story.
Check the
I
walls.
love that so much.
Check the walls. Check the doors.
That lightens my day.
So, Steve, on that note, I thought today we would.
on that note, when's the last time you got randomly not locked into a room?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I interrupted you. I'm sorry. You go.
I thought we would talk about our times we've experienced when things don't quite go as planned during a training.
Okay.
Some sort of thing, or maybe after the training when you're using the restroom. Maybe the technology fails us. Perhaps you've been given bad intel on how many attendees are registered versus who actually shows up.
Oh my God. Yes.
Or those times when the topic just makes for either an uncomfortable conversation or just a difficult time in general. What can you share with us today, Dr. Ogo?
Oh my God. Well, this is awesome. I really like this topic. Yes, I assume that you and I'd probably banter more about the L&D side of this, but this happens to everybody in the workspace. Like every profession has this to some sort of variety. So yeah, I'm totally on board with this. This is awesome. Good call on the topic, man. You called near and dear to my heart when you said about the amount of attendees that claim they're going to come versus what actually shows up. I promise I will make this a very quick story. About like 15 years ago or so, maybe more. Yeah, 15, whatever. Screw it. 15 years ago, I was asked to do this like training circuit, like this presentation circuit with a coworker of mine. Awesome dude. His name was Randy. Randy, if you're listening, you are still awesome in my book. He reminds me like of John Belushi. Like it just, I don't know, just a really genuinely funny person. Great guy, very smart too, incredibly intelligent. He and I were supposed to do this training circuit, and one of our stops was in northern Chicago. God, I'm trying to remember what suburb it was to save my soul. But that's roughly about like a 3 to 3.5 hour drive from like southeast Wisconsin, where Patrick and I are. So Randy and I get to this place. We were told it was going to be about 30 people. And Randy and I, we had our presentation like pretty well established. Like we knew how to play off of one another, and we had really promising results, and we would have like these large groups. And in this case, we were told it's going to be 30 people.
Okay.
Fine, which was actually on the smaller side for like some of the audiences we have. But I'm like, oh, this is great. Totally cool. All good. This was our first presentation in the the Metro Chicago area. So it was great. So we show up at 7 a.m. and there are 3 people.
Oh no.
And this presentation was like set up for a large audience. Like it was meant to be like you're questioning the audience and trying to like garner like different opinions and whatnot. So like I remember he and I talking afterwards of just like, what the hell was that? And we likened it to, I really want to hear a song. So, I don't want to actually like go grab a CD or like turn on the radio. I'm just going to call the band and have them play it in my living room at me. Like, what? Like, it didn't make any sense. Like the amount of people we were speaking to versus just whatever. So that one was near and dear to my heart. But to answer your question kind of in a very broad sense, I feel like I'd actually love to hear what you have to say, like immediately. But I feel like I've really grown accustomed to just like constantly pivoting and adapting. Especially if I'm presenting or I'm facilitating anything, I quite frankly like never go based on script. Like hell, this podcast is evidence that I don't go off a script, because yes, I'll take my notes and the things I want to say, but then you tell me a story about being locked in the bathroom and I lose my mind. Like that was awesome. But I don't know. Yeah, I could go on and on all day. Why that is or whatever. But what do you do the same thing? Like, do you find yourself, because you've been in this space long enough, do you kind of go about things in that like constant pivot mode, or I'm going to just always plan to adjust or shift?
Yeah, that's a good point. As far as what you said regarding getting accustomed to pivoting, I mean, personally, I would still rather not have to do that. Just to, just to kind of stick to the script in a way. But let's just say I'm picking one particular training that I've done multiple times. I have done that one differently every time, just because of what I say, who I'm saying it to, how it's being addressed, answering different questions, and then you kind of have those little segues in as you go along, right? The activities go a little bit differently. The conversations are different. You may spend more time on one slide than another. So there's that point of it. A couple stories that come to mind which has got me thinking about this topic. One was a recent training experience where I was only quote unquote somewhat aware of the class enrollment numbers. Now, typically, I'm sure like you, somewhat in my organization, we have a fairly good idea, almost an exact idea of how many people are going to show up. Like your 30 versus the 3 that were there.
I think they just added the 0.
Yes.
I think that was the issue.
Yes. That was, it's never good when you have more facilitators than participation members.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but my organization, my team, we usually take care of the attendance. We won't put it in ahead of time, but we'll have, we want to know how many people should we be expecting. And so,
sure.
And again, as a good facilitator or trainer will do, you make sure you've got plenty of extra copies. Okay. So,
yes.
But what I do, so example, we expect 15 people. Okay. I'm probably going to have just like 20 copies. Okay. It's a fail safe, but that's probably should be enough. In that 99% of the time, that is enough. For this training though, we weren't in charge of the attendance coming in, because it was the attendees were, instead of kind of emailing us back in our planning with like the one person organizing, the person was basically, it was an invite through email, and then it was kind of confirmation that way. So sure. But I don't trust, even though I know the training was in person, I don't trust the virtual responses, because people just click I'll be there or I won't, and then you never know. So I had an idea who was going to all be there, but I wasn't for sure. And so I planned for an extra like 15 people that were supposed to be close to 30 or whatever. And I'm like, I'm just going to make a bunch more.
Yeah, well, why not?
It was close to about 15 extra people than I even had set up for. And again, I had enough copies of things, but when the training's rolling around, more people just kept coming. It was like Field of Dreams. At the end of the movie, where the line of cars, and it was like, oh my God, there's more. And then like class gets started, and then there's people that had never been in this building, and they're showing up. And then it was like, let's get an extra table, get some more chairs. Hey, can you scoot over? And then there's people that are just like fashionably late, so 15, 20 minutes. And I'm like, okay, well, you missed this. And I actually this is kind of again another long story. I brought this up in the training itself. This story, how we were talking about active listening. And when someone came in the room that was fashionably late, I was listening to someone share, but I also was going back to my stack of copies of the printout, and then walking over to this gentleman, handing him, saying, hey, there's some seats in the back over around this corner here.
Sure.
And I brought it up about half hour later saying, you all remember when that happened? I couldn't, because I think the phrase multitasking is total bullshit. Okay, because you can't give 100% to two things at once. It's just not possible.
Yes, you are 1,000% correct.
So I brought that up and I said, so when I was talking to so and so right here, I could tell myself that I heard what she was saying, and thankfully it registered. Mm-hmm. She was making a really good point about something, but I wasn't 100% listening to her because I had to focus on this gentleman that walked in. Yeah. And so it was like just a really good example of, we pivoted, we made it work. It was just that it was a little clunky in the first 15, 20 minutes when people were showing up and I'm moving people around, and it was like just one of those, like, okay, it wasn't the worst thing that happened, but it just disrupted that flow and made it a little tricky.
Yeah, that I think is really the toughest part. I think you just nailed it on the head with that last part too, is you kind of get this vision, and maybe I do it differently. I'm curious what you do, but you almost have this vision of like how it's going to go in your head, right? Like you try to plan for what you do. And when something gets really thrown in there, like a real wrench gets tossed in there, it disrupts that flow, and it almost makes you kind of like jerky almost. Mm-hmm. I'm probably not explaining this in the cleanest way possible, but it's tough almost to get your bearings again and establish. It sounds like you did it. Quite frankly, I would go ahead and say you did that rather flawlessly, because you were even able to use the experience in and of itself in a very meta way and be like, hey, by the way, like, I wasn't expecting all of you. And this is why this is relevant. Like, so good for you that you had the wherewithal to do that.
Steve, it helped out, and you're going to be able to relate to this too. This was a training I had done multiple times.
Sure.
So the getting back to the slides, getting back to the discussion was fortunately a pretty easy transition, where if it was something where I'm thinking about what I need to say next because it's content that I don't really know that well or that much as I should, because I haven't done it before, that was where the nerves would kick in, and I'd be kind of a little bit of you may not see it me that I'm a mess, but in my mind I'm like, oh my God, what do I do now? So.
Well, and doesn't that really call attention to the fact that you need to be prepared? Like, yes. I hate when people feel like they need to have, like, what they're going to say memorized. I don't think that's the case. Like, you really shouldn't have it memorized. You shouldn't be a robot saying the exact same thing word for word. Like, I think we've all been in that room when that. Oh, I'm sorry.
I laugh because I had a former coworker who was kind of newer. She was taking on some other responsibility. Her main role wasn't facilitation, but she had an interest in it, and we were like, yeah, you actually have a lot of experience in this, so that's great. And she designed a training, and it was awesome. But like, I've looked at some of the previous trainings, and I'm like, oh my God, the facilitator notes is like 10 pages. I can't read that. I'm not going to read all that.
No. And I think any good presenter, speaker, like, I don't care if you're talking like national circuit kind of stuff, like, they will all tell you the same thing. Never memorize what you're going to say, because this is definitely my own bias and my own opinion, but I feel like sometimes the most impactful things are the things that are called attention in that moment. Like, something clicks as you're talking about it, or someone in the audience says something, you're like, oh, this is a great opportunity. Now, like, for example, you nailed it when you'd said about the active listening bit, and you called attention to something that you did minutes prior.
Yeah.
That you can't plan for that.
No.
That is something that I bet resonated with that group far more than some canned exercise or something like that. Like, you were able to say in real time, look at exactly what just happened here, and I can call myself out and show you how this does not work. So I commend you on that. It's a tough thing. It's a really tricky thing. It's one of the things that I like about presenting and communication and whatnot, is that it's a science, but it's so complex. It seems so simple, but there's a lot that goes into it compared to what I think most people would probably assume.
Well, we talked about this in a previous episode of, it takes a special person to be a facilitator. It's not just the design, it's not just the standing up there and reading off the screen. There's those other, it's getting used to the pivoting and having responses and how to carry on conversation. I mean, I use that word, beat it to death, the facilitation thing, but it's true. I'm not always necessarily just a trainer. I'm getting conversation going, and I'll share a story in a minute here of where yesterday I was a true facilitator because I barely said anything in this training, and it'll make more sense when I share that in a moment. But
fire it off right now. Like, if you're okay with it, otherwise, whatever.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, kind of talking about the alluding to this other example of another training session that I've done recently was kind of going off script, like we were just noting, where you can't have things memorized. Now, granted, this was I'll say a tough or a difficult conversation for this team that I was working with, and I actually needed backup. I had requested it not during, like, I need some backup over here. It was more like, okay, before we do this training, my team and the other facilitators that I work with, we are not subject matter experts in policy, in procedure, things that let's say a human resources manager or business professional might know. So we said, okay, if we're going to do this training for this group, we would like to have someone that knows policy there. So that's exactly what happened. This was a 2-hour training. We had to go veer way off. I actually, for the most part, got through the content, but there was times where we're sitting on one slide for 25 minutes because the participants had real life examples. They had stories to say, hey, this happened and this happened. And then they'd look at me and I'd say, okay, well, I'm going to defer to this person because they know the policy. I don't have any of that memorized because it's not part of my day job,
absolutely.
And so it was really good conversation. There was a couple of times where I'd say, okay, well, we need to hit this point, so let me keep going. You had to kind of reel it back in a little bit, but we had 2 or 3 activities planned. We scrapped 2 of those because that was not the practice part was good, but the conversation was more relevant to what we were talking about. So it was great. But I literally, in 2 hours, I maybe spoke for like 25, 30 minutes. It was like, it was quite weird for me to not have to be doing all the talking. And obviously I don't like having to do all that, but it wasn't just referring to the slides. It was, okay, what other questions you have? What do you want to bring up? And letting this other coworker of mine kind of steal the show in a good way.
That is a perfect example, I feel like, that represents somebody that knows when to hold them and when to fold them, right? Like, when do you actually like feel like, no, I need to stick to my agenda? Excuse me. When do I need to stick to my agenda? And when is it okay to shift away from it because the dynamic of the audience is already fulfilling what those would do?
Yes.
When you can get it, I have to make fun of myself. So, Patrick, of course, faithful listeners out there in listener land, Patrick and I can see each other. We do this via.
It's not great.
Jesus. Okay, so we do this through like a video chat, and as he was telling the story that he just told, please feel free to tell listeners if I am lying. But you were explaining how you ended up shifting because the audience was like really into participation and like talking about these real-time examples.
Yeah.
And what did I do? I leaned back and I put my arms up in the air like, yeah. And that's when I realized, oh, wait, this is audio. Nobody can see me or hear me doing that.
I was wondering what the hell you were doing.
I do. It's probably just like showing how big of a nerd I am when it comes to this stuff. Like, that stuff genuinely gets me pumped. Like, yes, I had this great this great training, this great facility, whatever, and the audience was really into it. They were sharing all these stories. When I can just take a step back, just like what you did, when you can take that step back and just let them hash it out, and you can sense when things maybe are starting to veer in a weird direction, that's when you kind of grab that shepherd's hook and go, okay, well, we're gonna come right back over here. And you just kind of pull the group like, oh, okay. You're just like herding them to the direction that you want.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that those individuals leave that session and go, or don't go like, wow, I learned a lot, or I feel way better about this, or I feel like I have a way more better understanding. That's really, really cool. Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah, thanks, man. And the cool thing was that because the content itself, again, it's a challenging topic, serious stuff that happens at work, and so it was just like we had to have the conversation because we do the yearly mandated training as far as like the e-learnings and all that, but this was this particular group wanted it in person to go through it and actually have a 2-hour training. So it was very vital that it had that. So the stuff that we talked about on the slides, the policies and that was good. Policies and all that, excuse me, was good. But the questions they had and when this happens or when that happened last week, what should I have done? What should I do? That was good. So to answer your question though, because I really think that how powerful that is, it still doesn't happen very often. For example, so I do leadership trainings and we have set content. This is what leadership needs to do. We have a 6-course class session every couple weeks, and we're just about to wrap that up at work. We have 4 hours to do these sessions. That's one where, okay, you plan, and I know you do this too, Steve, you plan that time in the training sessions for small group discussion, for large group share. That fits into that training where you still have that time where it's like, okay, well, we're not going over what's on the slide here. No, because that's okay. Yeah. That is one though where we're going to get through that content. We're going to get through all the slides because it's very important for them as, let's say, leaders to make sure that they learn this topic. Yeah. But where yesterday it was like I had planned for a couple of small activities, but it was cool to see the conversations break out organically.
Oh, so that is like to me that's like the pinnacle. Like if you can get that. It is such a weirdly energizing thing. I think anybody out there that is listening that does any form of presentation or facilitating, it doesn't matter if you're just training or having a discussion with your team, but if you can get them involved, there really is like a magic to that. Like, wow, that went really well. And I didn't like it wasn't just them listening. It wasn't just like a lecture hall kind of a system that it was very Socratic. Like they were a part of it. They got to inject themselves just as much. I do have a question for you though. And this might be a bit of a curveball. When you I'm curious because I guarantee you've had this where you will have a group that they're energized. They want to have those conversations. Have you ever had it where the audience is actually wrong? Like where they're giving each other bad advice or like have you ever sincerely like or you might have that one person in the group that's like, oh yeah, you just do this. You're like, oh my gosh, please no, don't do that. Like
I can't think of necessarily some. I know for sure it's happened. It was probably more in the realm where this was a trickier topic again in more the like the DEI space. Okay, and someone was basically questioning the content that I had, and then that actually led to others being like, "Yeah, why are you bringing that up?" And it was kind of like I had to shut that down, right? Yeah. And the cool thing was I just said, well, the organization has asked me to present this information. This is I am the messenger essentially. So that was a quick turnaround because it could have got pretty hostile for a little bit. And so it was basically turned it back around and said, like, I understand we all have our different opinions on things. I'm here to present information to you based on what the vision and the mission of this organization is. Now you don't have to agree with it. And I'm not asking you, to come to this agreement. However, this is what the process is for this. Yada yada yada. So, perfect. But I can see that happening though. To your point of being like, no. Spray. That's like the story you mentioned a while back. Spray this cleaner on any pets and kids is great.
Oh yeah, the guy that claimed that he had kids, and this product safety use around the kids. And then he got found out real hard. How old are your kids? What kids? What? It's actually very interesting that you bring that specific story up, because I feel like I would deal with that a lot in my years. I would say earlier years anyway, when I didn't have as much of a bearing in that industry and
Sure.
like pest control, because it's a very interesting industry that it's very governed, because you have a ton of guidelines, whether it's federal, state, you name it. And there were a couple times where you'd get some a 20, 30 year vet, you'd have somebody ask a question, you're like, just do this. It's like, oh my gosh, no. That hasn't been legal since the 80s. Please don't do that. Ever. Like, you almost have to just like bop them on the nose. Like, no, absolutely not. No. Stop it. Stop it. Yeah. I usually use that. I try to anyway, almost inflict a little bit of sarcasm towards myself on that one. Like, okay, please don't do that. But I do love the enthusiasm. Like, you know what? That's great. Like, that's okay. That's all good. Like, and whatever. Like, next
that's a good
time,
transition.
We travel back in the past. We're gonna rock that. We're gonna do that. That sounds good. Like, try to have some fun with it, but because you don't want to call somebody out in front of a whole group and make them feel inferior or silly, because typically they're saying that because they want to contribute. And if you quash that and make them feel bad for it.
Do you know the phrase call in versus call out?
Call in versus call out.
Yeah, so that's something I use in leadership training, is to remind leaders or people managers to make sure that when they have to bring something in that might be a little uncomfortable and they don't want to single anyone out, you call someone into the conversation versus calling them out. So an example would be, let's say you've got a meeting at 9:00 and you are very prompt, and most people are, but then someone rolls in at 9:03 and they maybe disrupt the flow of things.
Sure.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it could be a quick reminder at the end of the meeting to say, and again, if there's a small, people are going to know who you're talking about, but it's basically the call in part is, hey, just I want to, great meeting today. I just want to remind everyone that it's really vital that we get here on time to these meetings, because we only have so much time and we have so much to talk about. That's a gentle
Susan. Right,
exactly.
Susan? Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing. And there's obviously a time and a place, because I've had people push back. Well, what if there's a safety issue? Well, of course, you've got to like pull someone off the railroad tracks. You know, but the idea of that, just again, so it's not so much a finger pointing, it's more of a, hey, nice reminder there.
Yeah, I'll admit, I've not heard that phrasing, but I like how simple it is. Like, that is an excellent mnemonic to just kind of keep in mind. So thank you for that, Mr. Aylshire. I do appreciate that. That is that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think we can all use that. Anybody that works with other people, I think that is a very important thing to just always keep in mind, that the people that do raise their voice is because they want to be heard. They want to try to help in some way, or they have something that they feel is important to say. Don't smash that down. Work with it as best you can, and call in, not call out. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for that one, good sir.
You know what also is cool?
What?
The spin the bottle game, but not bottle.
I never did spin the bottle or 7 minutes in heaven, because anytime that I was in the room, they would always chase me out with pitchforks. But I got to watch it from the window outside like a creep. So that's cool.
Why is there a mask in here?
I I'm scared. Why does it look like one of the strangers is out there looking at us? No, that's just Steve. That's the way he looks. Are we doing this? Are we at the point of our episode now that we get to do dedications?
Yeah. Spinnerooski spinning the wheel of dedication opportunity. All right, I'm going to do a little countdown.
I thought you were going to say the wheel of death. I legit I did.
Nope. Not doing it. Even though it is Halloween week, it is not the.
Oh, I know. I mean, I know we celebrated it with our episode last week, but
yeah,
it is actually Halloween week right now. And did you hear that? Something paranormal.
Ooh.
Maybe
your face is paranormal.
Maybe a bird trying to peck in through the.
I'm looking around to make sure.
All right, enough of this. I need some dedication in my life. Patrick, hook us up.
Here we go. Boom. And we are on Sage.
Wow. How fascinating is that? You know what you use to burn and cleanse rooms and buildings of evil spirits?
Sage.
My goodness. I could be wrong on this one, Patrick, but I feel pretty good about that being the name.
Can you imagine if that was the name on, like, in your favorite time of year?
Yeah.
Of the Halloween festivities, and we get Sage, and we were talking about ghosts.
Yeah,
I wish I could make that up, but that's what the spinner landed on today.
Oh, and no,
it's amazing.
What the listeners at home can't hear is that there is a faint X-Files theme playing in the background somewhere. Wow, well, Sage, thank you so much. You are a delight, and I can see why you brighten rooms from scary monsters and spirits. So thank you, and thank you for making us ugly. You've really given us a gift, and we really appreciate you. Well,
it was nice that we called her out. We want to give her the stage. Sage. Sorry, Sage. I'm sorry.
Whoa, is this the moment where we needed to do a call in, not a call out? If any of you out there, just as a heads up, wanted to not push two people aside at boomers in the basement, so dumb. All right, enough of this business. Let's get down to it. Thank you all so much. You guys are amazing. Thanks for joining us today on this fine episode of Grossly Competent. I feel like this was a really good episode, and I told you it was going to be a really good episode, folks. So what I think you should be thinking to yourself right now is, that was decent. How do I support these grodies? Well, let me tell you all the ways. You can take a moment and subscribe, follow, or give a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you feel like adding a message, we'd love you for it. Tell your friends, family, coworkers, or that super awesome learning and development facilitator at your company about this podcast. You can give us a shout on our socials. Those are all listed in our show notes. You can even email us. My God, you can actually email us at grosslycompetent@gmail.com. You can visit us on Patreon at patreon.com/grosslycompetent. You can also visit us at Buzzsprout. That's where we host this lovely this lovely podcast. And the website for that is grosslycompetent.buzzsprout.com. And there you can actually become an active member if you'd like. We sincerely mean it when we say that every single cent counts. Because, believe it or not, podcasts not free for the people that make them. Just saying. But we appreciate you guys sincerely. It's so awesome. And I know some folks out there have already started utilizing this newest feature that you can send us a text to this podcast that we can see. I'll admit, when I signed us up on Grossly Competent for it, I thought we could text back. No, we can't. So I promise you, if you send us things, we do read them. I always make it a point to pin them to our website so people can see them and get a chuckle out of it, like Rhonda and her cheetah thong. This week, however, I want to give a shout out. So this is probably like 4 or 5 episodes ago, something. I made a comment that we had a listener from Singapore.
Oh.
And now I kind of said that tongue in cheek because I thought, well, maybe it's like a VPN kind of thing where like somebody's listening, but it's really routed through like a different country. But the fact that this individual, actually it's 2 individuals, have repeatedly listened in on different episodes tells me that these are actually live people, which blows my mind. I love that. I'm truly smitten, and that just makes me so happy. So thank you to our international pals in Singapore. We really appreciate you, and feel free to spread the word of how gross Patrick and I are to all of your friends and family.
Yes.
Keep it rolling. Let's keep this up. Let's have some fun with this. We're going to try to implement some more things as we continue to garner more and more support. So we thank you for that. Second to last but not least, I'm so sorry. Let us know what you think, please. Like, we love the interaction that we get from all of you. So please continue with it. What do you think? Have you ever had things just go completely awry that you have planned and then you have to pivot somehow or really adjust? How do you address it? Do you blame it on Patrick? Or do you try to just take the bull by the horns and smash that problem right into the ground? I mean, I don't know. Whatever. Let us know. Do you think Patrick and I are full of BS and it's just nothing but positivity that's coming out of our butts and that's not the real world? Let us know. Tell us what you think. But before we officially sign off, Patrick, do you have any final words for our faithful fans in listener land?
I do. The next time you use a public restroom, be mindful of where the doors are. If there's any trap doors, closet doors, because the door you go through may not be the right way out. Or it might be locked. I don't know. That's all I have to say about that.
I would like to think that if that maintenance door was open, that you thought somebody played like a magic trick on you. You're like, what just happened?
The Lion, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Yes.
Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh my gosh.
Like, whoa, how did that happen? Oh, that's awesome.
That's my type of movie.
Well, I sure hope that nobody out in listener land gets locked in the bathroom. And if they do, I hope they have their cell phones with them so they can listen to all the wonderful episodes of Grossly Competent. No, sincerely, thank you all so much. That's it for this episode, Uggos. You're the best. We love you. Thank you so much. And I suppose we'll see you next time. Ugly.
I've always wanted to do that.
Oh, that's awesome.